No, geez, hold on. I just dropped my switcher. And something else just fell. Everything is just falling down here. Go away. Go there. All right. Okay, so it looks like this. So you get a bit of an idea of what it looks like when you go and if you want to download it. And they're designed, they're PDF. Of course, you can tell they're portrait, so you can very easily kind of pull it up on your phone and different stuff like that. Okay, so that's that. So now I'm going to scroll in to this, and I'll try and get it as big as I can for you guys there. Like that. Okay, the title is Feeling Clearly, A Guide to Empathy versus Clairsentient. And as I said, this is something that Spiritual Kel actually brought up in the community. And I encourage you to head over to her profile. So Medium Spiritual Kel, click on her. She's one of the community founders, and follow her. So if you have any follow-up questions or anything related to this, you can always message her as well. And also in the community, which we'll get to after this. So I'll just kind of read through it briefly, and then I'll highlight the things for me. So I really like how it talks about like empathy and clairsentience. They're two distinctive ways of perceiving reality. And this case here is kind of focused through the body, so bodily sensation, right? And as it talks about here, an empath is feeling with others. A clairsentient is feeling about others. And for me, that's your first clarifier. I'll use real words, right? Is the first one you're feeling that, and neither one of these are right or wrong. I think the important thing is to be able to identify which is which, because then you have the tools to be able to manage them, right? That's the thing, okay? So as we kind of scroll down, we're just basically differentiating between the two, okay? So one is, and I really like this emotional absorption. You see, have you ever been, I know you have, right? Have you ever been with somebody and you could be talking about whatever, and you talk for 5 minutes, let's say, and when you're done the conversation, you kind of feel sort of, uplifted and energized and different things like this. And then you got the others, yes, when you're talking through them for 5 minutes and it feels like it's 5 hours, and then the person leaves, and what do we say? Like, I feel drained, I feel tired, I feel things like that. I feel feel things. Why is that? It's because these energies, your energies are moving back. Your energies are moving back and forth, right? When there's two people or more, the energies are interfacing like this, right? And what will tend to happen is, I'm going to just use really simple terms here. If your energy is high, their energy is low. Without anybody doing anything, this is going to tend to happen because balance is always trying to be restored. So if you don't know how to manage it, then essentially what happens is, we say, I feel drained. It's very accurate because, again, this has happened, okay? We absorb their energy. And the thing of it is, it's not just a philosophy, it's a real physiological experience, one that now is measurable. They can photograph it, if you will. Yes, it can physically manifest in our bodies 100%. When we talked about, there was another teaching I did, it'll be in the library and you can view it later, about the 5 common causes of imbalances. And one of them is basically picking up other people's cooties, right? And I think this is a thing because we think that the imbalance, okay, I'm just going to leave it like that now because it's another teaching, right? So it always is ours, right? The trauma, if you will, always is ours. But we may be feeling it, but not necessarily it's ours. And another way we've inherited, right? We picked it up actually from somebody else. So it's a very real physical experience. It's not just theory. It's not just philosophy, right? Our body acts as an emotional sponge, automatically mirroring the feelings of others. Another way I would like to say that is absorbing that energy and reflecting it back out. I can think of a few people. Oh boy, yeah. Isn't that the truth? Yeah, the ones that when they come this way, you go that way. Can I drain you of your energy? Oh, geez, what's that? Who want to drain me? Yeah, okay. Probably nobody really. Can I drain you of your energy then? I mean, you can, right? And I think that, and the thing of it is, it's not even that a person is doing it consciously, right? It just naturally happens. I think that's a psychic vampire, absolutely. I just kind of brought a few people. Oh boy, yeah, TikTok, the mystery clock, more any fantasy here. Okay, just we're getting all sorts of different folks. And anyway, it's like an emotional sponge. We actually soak that energy up and then radiate it back out, right? So I'm just going to go down with the empath, and then we're going to clairsentient. So the primary challenge, and again, these are neither good or bad, right? The primary challenge is different, and then here's the thing, right? Is, and I know you're on your phone, so just go with me here, and you can go into the from maybe it comes from the hold back your thoughts on that person or the conversation as well. Oh, there's all sorts of different dynamics to it for sure. Is differentiating personal feelings from those absorbed from people and environments. Now, I really like how they put in environments, right? Because it's not just people, right? It's absolutely places. And I think for me, that's another one of the something in the community. Energy vampires, yeah, for sure. And we'll take the folks to the community and show them what we're talking about afterwards, right? Okay, so just hold on. I just need to do something here. Okay, off you go, Mr. Cattleman. Um, we're open to all perspectives. However, we're asking that people be respectful of everyone, right? And yeah, just try and get along, right? Okay. Anyway, um, because I'm learning how to create more boundaries, yeah, and to throttle. I call it throttle and manage those energies, right? Because again, the sort of the five common causes of imbalances. One of them is other people. We pick up their cooties, right? You can't leave. You live on. Boy, we do have some interesting folks hopping on here, don't we? Okay, hold on. I'll just get rid of that one. There we are. She's keeping me busy blocking folks. Anyway, energetic residues for sure. So we can pick it up from people, but we can also absorb it from places. And here's an interesting, really example of that. When I was early on in my spiritual journey, like I said, I've been on this couple of dozen years now, 20 years. And it was actually in Edmonton. So those of you familiar with Edmonton, so I would, with the company I worked for, I would often need to drive up to Edmonton. And I would always, because I was in the early days and I was just devouring everything, right? And so there's on 124th, I'm sure it's still there, it's called Ascendant Books. So I would come up, I would drive down, so Jasper Ave, and then it would turn into 124th and then go to Ascendant Books. So I would always go there every time I went up. And I noticed that I was on my way back, just as I turned on the 124th, this doesn't matter if you're not familiar with the streets, my thoughts started to kind of almost take kind of a worrisome theme to them. And and I hadn't felt that way before, like just like seconds before. But I just noticed. I was like, geez, why am I worrying about stuff? And then it went on for, a short period of time and then left. Oh, okay. So I go up another trip. I do the same thing. Well, here I notice this again. And so I'm going, that's interesting. So now the third time I go, I'm going to pay attention to when this starts and when it finishes, right? And son of a gun, if it didn't, still there. Yeah, could very well. Yeah, I thought it would be. If it didn't start and end about the same damn place. So my learning from that was there was something, we'll say some type of a trauma there, for lack of a better term. And as I just went through that geographical area, I was absorbing that energy. Now it didn't stay with me, but I was still absorbing it. But here's the thing. If I didn't energy hang out, yeah, for sure. If I nailed them energy, if I didn't understand what was happening, see, here's what happens is you do that, and as it talks about here, difficulty differentiating personal feelings from those absorbed by your people or by people and the environment, then I would go, well, it must be me. If I'm thinking it, it must be me. So then you end up absorbing this stuff and carrying it with you. And see, here's the thing for me, and we'll get to the clairsentient in a second here. I mean, yes, we do all our spiritual practice and different things like this, but you're still going to get some other stuff on you. There's times you're just going to take ownership of that stuff that isn't yours, for sure, right? You differentiate between the two. And I think that's the thing, or we do. Yeah, I get it for sure. Like we take it on, but if we don't understand that it's maybe not ours, then it does become ours. I think that's the thing. Even though it's not, we basically say, well, it must be me, and then it is ours, right? Kind of getting the cooties on you, right? Observing versus absorbing, you're like just this far ahead of me, buddy. That's perfect. So that's so important to remember. And as it talks about here, the key technique is differentiate and release. Ask this. This is just so important. Ask, is this mine? Sometimes, so often, just asking that question will help. Will help. Yeah, the cooties will help break that. Right? If you just step back and just so, okay, is this mine? You see, because when you ask a question, it tends to, okay, slip out, put you outside of the environment, if you will, in the observer mode, if you will, so you can look at it, right? So even just asking that question, is this mine, is really going to help break that, or again, put you out here so you can look at it and go, is it mine or isn't it mine? Because it's really hard to observe that with any amount of clarity when you're stuck in the middle of it, right? And it's like this stuff it's very, well, thank you guys. It's very practical. And that's the thing for us. Like I said, I call myself an energy mechanic, right? So I don't do a lot with philosophies or all sorts of flowery theories or, namaste this and namaste that, right? It's like from a mechanical perspective, right? Understanding this because we're all sensitive, especially the folks that hop into here, right? And we have a few that aren't, but I get rid of them. So the folks that hop into here, you're all sensitive to energies, even maybe if you don't, probably in a lot of cases, sometimes more than you even realize. From Calgary, hey, thanks for stopping in, Calgary. And so by asking that question, now here's the thing for me, one of my techniques is, like I said, when I was driving down that street, so if things are going smooth and then, you're chilling along, and then all of a sudden your thoughts start to kind of go in this weird ass direction, or if you're feeling feelings that you just like, where did that come from? That's the first question I will ask is this mine? Right? And again, excuse me, asking that question puts us in that observer mode because we're looking for an answer now, right? So then we can look at, hey, from Brooks. Hey, Brooks, thanks for checking in. Brooks stayed in Brooks on the way to Waterton. I think that's where it was. Waterton's a cool spot. And so it just allows us to then observe and decide. Okay. All right. So now let's go to the other side. Okay. That's this. So I'm going to do this. There we are. Sorry, guys. You might get dizzy. But like I said, okay. So clairsentient, this is feeling about. And when you think about it, this is kind of similar to exactly, is the trauma yours? For sure. This is exactly like asking that question. So now you're not in it. Now you're observing it. And this is very much what Spiritual Kel does. And for her, because of the mediumship, it's really important for her to be able to differentiate between the two because she needs to have that clarity, right? When she's delivering the messages, if you want to put it that way. You can never. Oh, goodness. Richard, good looking. Well, okay. Well, just, I appreciate that, but that's not on topic for why we are here. Okay. There you go. Oh, Lord. Well, we're getting a lot of them tonight, aren't we, Spiritual Cal? Of course, we've got a lot of people in the room, so. Dear. Well, that's okay. Whatever. Yeah. It's the TikTok. You know what? All part of the fun. And that isn't that so true, right? I mean, like sometimes we get so damn serious, right? It's a lot of energy vampires tonight. Something in the air this Monday. Isn't that the truth? I tell you. Okay, so again, feeling about others. So when you think about it, this one is emotional absorption. The clairsentient is information interpretation, right? And again, I really like those words, information and interpreting that information, right? And I like this, it talks about, so here's the thing. So she still may feel things, right? But it's information. And I think there's a difference, right? Big difference, right? The body acts as a diagnostic instrument translating, I like this, translating energy into specific signals and insights, right? So again, information that's then interpreted, right? Neptune shift back in the Aries today. Oh, okay, there you go. Crazy land. Now, the primary challenge with this one is, and I think what we'll do is this is going to be one of our first online courses. Spiritual and I were talking about it today, actually, is we're going to do he will explain it after his teaching. Yes, okay, I'll just have to scroll back there for a second. Is one of our online focus discussions, or probably like a mini workshop or something like that in our community, is going to be about this very thing here. So if this is something that's interest of you, and we'll show you the community afterwards. Be sure you join, and then we'll keep you updated and stuff like that, because this is such a common challenge for folks, and a very common question. So the primary challenge is doubting or overanalyzing. This is a really good one. Doubting or overanalyzing intuitive signals that, Mickey, it's a conversation just about, of course, like metaphysical is everything outside of our five senses, just really, really quick, right? Yeah, so just kind of hang out for a while, buddy, and you'll kind of get the flavoring for it, okay? Is doubting or overanalyzing intuitive signals that don't follow, I really like this, that don't follow logical pathways. So here's the thing. When we're gathering that information, and let's just say we're in the presence of another person, just for an example, right? As that information comes to us, then we need to interpret it, right? And I think this is where, so like Spiritual Kel has really developed that into a very fine craft. I've done that in all the stuff that I'm doing, right? So it's information that we can use, but we need to interpret it. And there's where the role of the practitioner is, right? And here's the thing that's always interesting is that it doesn't necessarily, again, follow these logical pathways. And I think this is the thing. The information comes in, and in a way, we're not necessarily logically thinking about it. I think a better way to put it is we're allowing it to be converted into information. I think that's almost a better way to put it. We're not using our logic as a filter or try and fit it into that sort of logical structure. We're allowing the interpretation to happen, which gives us wisdom, which we can then share to create value in the present moment, right? And here, of course, we kind of touched on this already. The key technique, clarify and observe. And here you go. There's that ask what this is showing me. This is using body mapping to recognize patterns. So again, every practitioner, everybody that's reading this is going to figure out their own way to do it, right? And then just kind of the closing one here is, I really like this. The goal isn't to feel less, it's to feel clearly. And the aim is to understand and manage sensory input, right? And appropriately. And this is mastery transforms sensitivity. I like these guys right here at the bottom. Is empathy becomes compassion without overwhelm. Clairsentient becomes guidance without confusion. This is I really like this map. Thanks to Spiritual Kel for kind of starting the whole process. And as I said, we'll take the infographic. I'll put it on the community, which we'll show you in a second here. And we'll also, this recording we'll put up there as well. And then we'll put the summary, so as a PDF document, because then you can read that as well. And they really do a good job of putting it kind of in a coherent flow. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate the compliments. Thanks. It's a really, okay, I'm going to stop the